Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Nice to see you again and welcome back to Aquarium Adventures. Trust me, I'm already bored of that too. So today I want to do something a little bit different, a bit of a story time and a bit of a more philosophical look at what my plans are for the future for a certain part of my hobby and my fish room. And it starts off with this. This is Megatank. Those of you who have seen the channel before will know all about this. It's an 8 foot by 3 foot by 4 foot aquarium that I built myself. And this was a few years ago now. And the reason that I built this is something that I've talked about several times on live streams and stuff, but I don't know if I've ever actually been really true to myself or true to you. The day I moved into this house and realised I had enough space in a fish room to do something like this, I wanted to build a big tank. And the reason I wanted to do it was to have a big tank. I'd literally put no more thought into it than that. I thought, I make YouTube videos, I need to do something stupid, outlandish, over the top. I'm going to build a big tank. I had no experience, I had no, and that showed with the amount of times that it leaked. But I had no experience, I had no great desire to keep any specific fish. And it wasn't until after I built it that something that's bugged me ever since is I've never really known what to do with it, and I've always come across fish rather than built it for a specific goal. I've never thought, right, I want to keep stingrays, so therefore I'll build a mega tank. I went, I've got a mega tank, maybe I should keep stingrays. And that's something that's always kind of irked at me at the back of my mind. But like I say, we've done it. We've had this tank going for a number of years, and I wanted to talk about what my plan is now that I've spent all that time thinking about what I want to do with it and what do I want Megatank to become. Not just a rescue for anybody else's fish that they can't keep anymore. I have some plans. Now, over the years that I've had Megatank, I have had some fish that I've absolutely loved. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't miss out on that. But at the same time, I didn't plan to have those fish. They were all fish that I rescued from somewhere. I had the massive snakehead, the emperor snakehead, Gordon. He was a great fish to own. He was really stunning, truly fantastic. I've had the silver dollars that are huge. I've got Brian in there, who's a bit of a murderous beast. But it was a few years ago when I used to do a lot of stuff with Fishman Aquatics, who are sadly no longer with us. But they were a fish shop over in Oldham. And one day I went in there when I had the Megatank was an idea and I was thinking about doing it. But I think I might have even just started doing it. And I went in one day and they had a peacock bass. Now, they had a tiamensis or a timensis, which is a huge beast of a fish. They get up to like 3 feet long. So even in Megatank, that'd probably be too big for them. But seeing that fish, it was the first time I'd ever seen a peacock bass in the flesh. I'd seen them in pictures and in videos, obviously. It was the first time I'd actually seen one and thought, that is quite amazing. It is, in the literal sense of the word, it was awesome. I stared at it for ages going, what is it? Wow, look at the size of it. Look at the way it moves, look at the colours. And it was so aggressive the way it took food. It was so powerful. It was just like, this is a proper fish. This is what I've built Megatank for. It's to keep these. So ever since, they have always been my number one that I want to keep in Megatank. So hence now why we have a Kilberry bass. Now we started with 3. Obviously ideally would have kept 3 in there. But we've got 1, that's fine. We might get another couple, who knows, along the way. I have had an azul bass. Again, it was a rescue, it was an older one. I don't know how old it was, but unfortunately it died when we had one of our many leaks. I had to transport it into another tank. And one thing led to another and it didn't do it. But this is my goal for Megatank. It is going to become a large predatory fish tank and it's got an end date on it. So a Kilberry bass, best I can probably hope for is maybe 8 to 10 years out of it. So for the next 8 to 10 years, that's what Megatank's going to be. It's going to be a tank that's going to hold some awesome fish that I can just bask in the gloriousness of. I can keep some bass, I'll keep the snakehead in there if I can. I'll probably keep some of the ditherfish, which are massive silver dollars. We're calling them ditherfish, seems a bit strange. But yes, maybe we will add more bass. Yes, maybe we will get more Oscars. Ideally, I want a harmonious tank, so we might have to chop and change this as we go along. But it's for the life of that fish. that is the key fish. He is the focal point of this tank. It's going to be for the bass, for the peacock bass. So for the next 8 to 10 years, that's what that tank is. But then, who knows what? Well, maybe I do. Again, those of you who have been following along for a while will know that my favourite fish of all time is discus. And these are my baby discus that I've been growing on for the last month or so. 2 months old now, I think they are. And this has been a bit of an experiment for nature versus nurture. This is how good can I get some low quality, some generic wholesaler quality discus. How well can I do with them? Can I take care of them to such a degree that they turn out to be good fish? Not aiming for show quality fish, I'm aiming for good, strong, healthy, good looking fish. And so far, the evidence is pretty positive. It looks like it's going quite well. So, when these, I'm pointing at the bass and the snakeheads, when these big fish have had their time, like I say, I'm going to let them live their natural lives out in Megatank. When they've had their time, this is going to be the start of a larger project. I'm going to grow these fish up. I'm going to see if they pair up. I'm going to get more and more batches of discus. I'm going to do some mixing and matching. I'm going to do some mixing and matching of various groups of discus, and I'm going to create the biggest discus tank you've ever seen in your life. Can you imagine this as an 8-foot planted discus tank? Remember, these guys are going to live out all their natural lives. I'm not chopping and changing. I'm fine if that's the way you like to do your hobby. I like to look after a fish until I can't any longer. Brian is going to have to go because he'll kill anything he sees as a challenge, but other than aggression issues, any fish that go in here will get to live there until they're fine. And if that means that we've got one fish that hangs around for 2 years on its own because it just won't die, that's absolutely fine. But once that happens, this is getting a refresh. It's going to get completely aquascaped. Loads of plant, loads of decoration, loads of effort, time, love going into making this a beautiful planted aquarium. I've got 10 years to save up to get all the equipment that I need to run a tank this size as a planted aquarium. The one thing that has irked me about this tank so far is the fish that are in there will not tolerate plants. Well, in fact, the fish that are in there would love to have a planted tank because they would just go around and eat them all. But I would love to make this a planted aquarium. So again, I'm talking way down the road here. So this isn't very YouTube friendly, saying, well, subscribe now and in 2 weeks time you'll see the results for this. Subscribe now and in 10 years you'll see the results of this one. But I just wanted to lay it out there so as I can, in 10 years time, I can come back and point to this video and say, I've done it. It's going to be a discus tank. We'll have discus, we'll have tetras, it'll be a community tank. I'll have all kinds of things in there. And it'll be something that I've always wanted to see, is a tank so big, crammed full of discus. It'll be awesome. I think it's going to take the patience of a saint to wait that long and to think of projects on that kind of time scale. I'm not a patient man, so this is going to be tough. But in terms of my hobby, I had an itch to scratch with the big fish. I've had Gordon, the old snakehead. I've got the new snakehead, who I might be calling Kinky because of his slight spinal issues. I get to scratch the itch of having the peacock bass. And even at this size, this fish is looking pretty awesome. So it'll be good to have that and see it through, what it's like to see a big fish in a big tank. And then, once that's over, I can spend the next 10 years breeding all my discus to my heart's content, getting a poop load of them to put them into that tank, and then we've got that going. So along that way there will be many trials and tribulations. They'll be growing out these guys, they'll be breeding these guys. This is discus over here. We've got to grow these up. We'll be moving them into the display tank over there eventually, and then buying the next batch and growing them up, and then we'll be doing lots of breeding projects to see if we can get them to pair up. So there's plenty to happen over these next few years, and I think there'll be something interesting for everyone. And there's the rest of the fish room as well. But I just wanted to share, because a few people have asked me about Megatank and what are my ultimate goals. And we talk about it on the live stream quite a lot, where I get quite philosophical and go, well, I could do this and I could do that and I could do the other, and I never actually commit to anything. And I think that's it. I've now committed. Come back in 2 weeks time when I've got a completely different idea. but that's what I want to get out of my hobby. There's a lot of time and money invested in Megatank. There's a lot of time and money invested in the discus and various other aquariums that I've got going here. They're going to be the focus of my hobby. Megatank, having the fish in it that I want, so I can scratch that itch of keeping these big fish and these cool fish and seeing what they're like in a big tank. Too often you see them in a 5-foot tank and you're just like, it's not quite right. They'll have plenty of space in there, loads of room for manoeuvres, loads of space to see how they act a bit more naturally, because they've got a little bit more space. You can never fully replicate nature in a fish tank, but we get to see that live out, all the while concentrating on the next thing that's coming, which is getting the stock levels of the discus up, so as I can get enough discus to fill a tank that size. And then I'll have my little side projects here and there of dabbling in other little things. So just a bit of a catch up, a bit of answering some questions. If you like that kind of thing, there's a subscribe button down there. Sometimes we talk about different things other than these two tanks, but I was indulging myself on this one. See you tomorrow. Bye.